Want to also appreciate all those tuning in to listen to us. Always good to have you tuned in, and we do not take you for granted. So,
Yes.
today we will be coming to the final phase of the effects of tradition. You know, I have been talking about tradition, and tradition. The problem, however, has been a lot of issues in marriages being caused not by the husband, not by the wife, but the tradition of the place that they married into. Before I go ahead into that, every April is a solemn month where I use the death of the popular singer Osinachi Nwachukwu, who died on the
Yes.
8th of April 2022, as a point to remind those living in abusive homes, living with abusive partners, that you are not immortal, and abuse takes lives. Last year, we lost over 460 women in Nigeria to domestic violence and abuse, and over 60 men also to domestic violence in the hands of their wives and lovers. So it is very important that you, if you are in an abusive marriage, should leave. Your life is more important than marriage. So let me put that aside. I would have played something to honor her memory, but I would continue. Today, I want to talk about the most sensitive part of tradition. This is the most important, the most powerful part of tradition, which is the worship of elders.
Yes.
Some call it ancestral worship, but it is also known as the worship of elders. The role of the Olori Ebis, that is the head of the family, which is usually the oldest, as tradition is always synonymous with age. You know, it has to do, tradition itself are the opinions of people who lived long before we came into the founders of the society, the first people, the second, the oldest in the communities. It was their opinions and thoughts that became a pattern in that society, and it has been going on for years. Now, the worship of elders, wherever a decision needs to be made in the family, they say, let us call the Olori Ebi the head of the family, as tradition will dictate that whatever they say is
Yes.
final. Now, alongside elders, we have parents who determine directly the direction of their children. So the elders are the oldest people in the family, and the parents are the fathers and mothers, the direct parents of their offspring. Now, before I continue, I need to let you know that I am also a parent. So when I'm talking, you know that I am not excluded from what I am talking about. First of all, who is a parent?
Yes.
We have from the Collins Dictionary, well, let me use Oxford, defines a parent as a person's father or mother, someone who looks after a person in the same way as a father or mother. Now, Merriam-Webster defines a parent as number one, a one who begats or brings forth an offspring. Number two, a person who brings up and cares for another. Number three, a person who legally adopts a child. So you can become a parent in three ways. That is by giving birth to the child, or you that raised the child, provided, protected,
Raise the child.
raised the child, and three, the person who legally adopts a child. Now, a mother is defined as one who carries a pregnancy and gives birth to the child, and the father is referred to as the cause of a pregnancy, which is the male parent. And the function of a mother is to nurture the child, while the function of a father is protector, provider, and instructor. The anomaly here, an anomaly is when something does not fall within the pattern, where something that deviates from the expected behavior. Now, the anomaly here is, firstly, I would describe three different points where the worship of elders, the rule of the parents have come to jeopardize the lives of their children. The anomaly here
Children, yes.
is where parents who are supposed to be protector, instructor, and the person who nurtures a child now insists that the children goes back into an abusive marriage. When a child runs to their parents and says, my husband beats me, or my wife is very physical, I don't have peace of mind, the parents usually insist that they go back into their abusive homes. Now,
Yes.
statistics carried out 2 years ago in Nigeria showed that 79% of parents will sacrifice their children for marriage. Only 21% will actually attempt to rescue their child from an abusive marriage or insist that their child comes back home. Can you imagine? 79% is distinction. That is A1. So it shows you that more parents will send their children back into an abusive home than parents who would see that their children are in trouble, are being abused, and actually come to rescue them. That indeed is an anomaly. Because in the animal kingdom, we know that every animal, for example, if a dog births puppies, you cannot go near those puppies, the dog would attack. If even a chicken lays an egg, if you go near, it will attack. Every animal by instinct protects its young, except human beings who can watch their children being abused. Now, what then affects parents that they can sacrifice their children on an altar called marriage? The first is tradition, where they say in our family, we don't divorce. And the second is religion. This time they use God and say God hates divorce. Tradition and religion are the only things that will make parents watch their children in danger and refuse to help. It is only tradition and religion that will go against the normal instinct, disable the instinct of a parent to protect its child. It is tradition. Secondly, when we took a census, we did the research, statistics showed that 41% of failed marriages happened because of parental interference. That means if it were not for the parents, the marriage will still be. And the statistics showed 31% by mothers-in-law, 9% by fathers-in-law. But we round down, when you round up, you round down, which means 30% mother-in-law, 10% father-in-law.
Father. Mm.
So this tells you directly that by default, if you want to marry into a family and the mother-in-law doesn't like you, or the father does not like you, your marriage already has a 40% chance of failure just by default,
Mm.
without you doing anything at all. And some people, because of their naivety, will still go into a marriage, into a family that does not like you. Do you know what that means? You enter into a den of wolves, that every time the wolves are thinking of how to attack you, every smile is fake, every gift is fake. Every chance to see how bad you are, how lazy you are, how incompetent you are is exploited. But people say, don't worry, I would marry. By the time they know me, they will love me. They say, don't worry, that when they know me, they will love me. So you put on yourself a task of trying to persuade people that you are good, trying to persuade a family that does not like you
Mm.
that you are good. And your marriage turns from a union to a social experiment to see if you
Mm-hmm.
can convince a group of people that do not like you to like you. How is that possible? Your marriage will be full of turmoil. Your marriage will be full of emotional abuse
Mm-hmm.
because you have people who gang up to make you look. In fact, at the end of the day, you will go back to where you came from.
Exactly. They
And
always win at the end of the day.
let you always lose at the end of the day. Except they
Like
all
the
die.
family, yeah, the family always wins over you eventually.
The worst are those who have the ears of their family. That
Mm.
is boys and women who are controlled by, it is what daddy says, it's more what mommy says, or they respect their uncle, they respect their older sister or their younger brother. No, they don't like you.
Mm.
So 2 weeks ago, I was at the gender unit of the state CID, gender unit of the state command in Lagos State. And I was called into a matter. A woman married a gentleman. They had been dating for years and they got married. And the wife was complaining that the man could go for 2 days, he would just go 3 days. It comes that, but that wasn't how they started. So she always saw him, probably she believed that, he was drinking and seeing other women, that it was stressful, especially when she got pregnant. So
Mm.
after a while, she decided to go and stay with her mom. Her mom also lived in the same area, not far at all. I mean, it
Mm.
was just like one bike away or one pep away. And while she was staying with the mom, she got better. And the mom said, "You cannot deliver this child in my own household. That you have to go back to your husband's house to deliver the child." So after a while, after like a month and a half, going to 2 months, she now, herself and her husband will see every day. He will
Mm.
come, bring her, if she craves something, he will bring it. They will talk. So, but whenever she wants to go to the house, the husband will shall find a way to say, no, just stay there and rest. And maybe it's better for you. You are looking better. And so her mother was saying, you can't deliver this child here. Go back to your husband's house. The
Okay.
husband was saying, that, maybe it's better you stay there till delivery because it seems that, you look peaceful and everything. So one day, she now says she should, unannounced, she went to the husband. She told the husband that she was coming. And when she got there, she met the husband's mother, met the husband's sisters, and met the husband's brother and a guest.
Mm.
When she greeted everybody, she was heavy. So she wanted to go to the room, and the sister prevented her. The husband's sister said, "Where are you going?"
Mm.
And she was like, what's going on? That she wants to go into her matrimonial bedroom. said which matrimonial. That's how they started an argument. The long and short of my story is that the parents went to pay bride price for another woman and brought her from the village into the house. So while she was in her mother's house, they had brought another wife for her,
That's why.
for this
Hmm.
gentleman. And the wife was 8 months pregnant. They did not even wait for her to deliver the first child.
Fever. Wow.
They had brought another girl from the village. And
Hmm.
guess what? The girl had been in the house and was also pregnant.
Hmm. Hmm. What exactly is the reason?
Listen,
Okay.
they said she was arrogant, especially if you're a successful woman, that everything
Hmm.
you do, they believe that you are rude. They believe that you are proud. They believe you are not submissive.
Hmm.
And the girl was even had a higher education than her husband. In fact, her husband did not finish primary school.
Hmm.
Anyway, these are the issues that happen when you marry into a family that
Where they
does
look
not
like.
like you.
Hmm?
So here we are seeing the effects. This is the immediate family. First of all, parents. 79% will send their children back into marriage. 79% will watch the. In fact, I was on a program where somebody called and said, if the daughter dies in marriage, it is the will of God.
Ah.
And of course, these are people who are Christians. You will find, like I said, it is only tradition and religion that will make a parent watch their children in distress, in pain, in abuse, and do nothing, send them back.
Hmm.
That you have to go back. Oh, the Bible says God hates divorce, or you have to go back. Oh, in our generation, nobody leaves their husband's house or nobody leaves their
Hmm.
wife. Uh,
Yes.
these are the two of the faculties of direct
Mm-hmm.
parents. Now, I want to move to the Olori Ebis. Now, the problem with tradition is that it makes sacred the decisions of the Olori Ebi. Wise people grow old, fools also grow old. Unfortunately, if a fool lives longer than the wise in your family, that means that you will be guided by the decisions of fools. So, therefore, you all know that it is wrong, but tradition enforces that you follow the decision of the Olori Ebi. You get into a plane where you know the pilot is incompetent. You know that the pilot does not know how to fly, but still you enter the plane. Isn't that suicide? They tell you that the Olori Ebi, if it is a foolish Olori Ebi, then you have a foolish generation. That the people that will follow the decisions of the Olori Ebi would end up living
Hmm.
out foolish planning, foolish
Negotiations.
decisions, because he is the head of the home. Where the house should be led in wisdom, in knowledge, in competence, you now allow a whole house connected by families. Like, the Olori Ebi is not the head of one home, is the head of, if there are 6 brothers and sisters,
Mm-hmm.
he is in charge of the brothers and their
Yes.
children, the wives, and you carry homes and lead them into the wilderness. You lead them into the abyss by foolish decisions.
Yes. Hmm.
The reign of the Olori Ebis, I don't mind. But it is because of this we say that the wisdom of Solomon has nothing to do with the age of Methuselah. That
Mm-hmm.
wisdom is not in age.
It's not at all.
We need to understand that we should start making family patterns based on competence, based
Yeah.
on knowledge and information. They say my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. When you have a foolish leader, when you have a foolish head, the entire body becomes what? Bound to foolishness. You
All
throw them to the
mm-hmm.
Philistines. That is what happens. We are now talking about a third strike. No, this is a fourth strike, which I call blood escape. Blood escape simply means, when you say we are relatives, it means you are either related by blood or by marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are related either by blood or by marriage, it is what you call relatives. Now,
Yes.
blood escape summarizes if a crime is committed and when the perpetrator is apprehended, you find out that is a relative, is related to you by blood or by marriage. For example, child sexual abuse, molestation of children, rape of children. We find out that it is more by relatives than by outsiders. That means you are 4 times more likely to be raped by someone you are related to than by any other person. You are 4 times more likely to be raped as children by somebody you are related to by blood or by marriage. And then when they find that their daughter has been defiled, they now find out that it is by a family member. The family will come together to cover the crime. Why? Because it was committed by someone related to by blood. Do you understand?
Yes.
Why is it that blood means escape from justice? What you do is you keep recycling the person who raped your daughter or molested your son. You keep recycling them, saving them knowing that nothing will happen. Why? Because we are relatives. The family will never turn one of theirs over to the law for a crime that they committed. There was one very interesting case we had how many years ago that the boy was always, the ruffian in school, was always involved in fights and got into this fight that he picked up a stone and hit the other person on the head. This was just secondary school, SS2, SS3. The person eventually had a brain injury. Eventually, it affected him, and eventually, the person died. But because the father of this person, of the aggressor, was rich, arranged that the whole case will not have leg, will not have head, will not have tail, and eventually smuggled his child out of the country.
Wow.
So smuggled the child out of the house. Please,
Yes.
this boy
All right.
traveled out and came back 7 years after the coast was clear, but already came out as a junkie. He was a drug addict abroad, so they had to bring him back.
That's good.
At the end of the day, it was this boy that killed the father. He attacked the father because he was demanding for money to buy drugs, and the father was tired, and the father refused, and he got violent, started destroying something. The father got up and said, and then just hit the father with a stone. That led to the father's death. But if the father earlier had allowed this boy suffer the consequence of killing a person, he would have been a better person.
Yes.
The man, let me not even gamble that he would have been a better person. At least he would have learned the consequence of his action. However, the father would still be alive. But because the father, because, oh, he's my son, we all have that sentiment. He's my son, he's my uncle, he's my, and then you begin to go against the machinery of justice so that they can escape a crime. It usually leads to more crime. They are emboldened because they know nothing will happen. You see, then they say, I will beat you and nothing will happen.
Yes. Yes.
It's called blood escape. And lots of cases where we have child sexual abuse. In fact, we have a case of incest that because the father raped the daughter, the family is coming together, abomination, abomination. But because of the family name, because of, and I wonder what family name?
The
People that
name is in the mother.
we don't know you.
Yes.
What do you mean because of the family name? We don't know you. Who are you? And then, isn't it better to be known for justice? To be known for justice. You can't take somebody's life, impregnate your own daughter, rape your own cousin, and then, or your niece or your nephew, and then say, well, because we are related, them, I'm sorry, let's just settle it as a family matter. Meanwhile, that child that has been raped will grow up knowing, the issue is they are not just raped once. Pedophiles can easily identify victims and they keep
Yes.
doing it over and over again until that child that you allowed to be continuously abused because the abuser is someone you are related to now grows up, becomes hooked on drugs and drinking. Do you know that almost 68% of women in Kirikiri were raped as children? It increases their propensity to break the law. It increases the propensity for drug abuse and drug
Yes.
addiction. Why? Because they remember sexual abuse traumatizes them. They remember. They remember. So I would have told you that please,
Yeah.
this cannot happen. We should stand up against, first of all, what tradition is doing in this worship of elders. A lot of marriages have been affected because of Oloriebis and parents, elders, what they have said. No, you cannot marry from there. No, we don't do from here. You don't do this, you don't do that. And then we lose, you separate families because of personal interest. We need to know. I was telling someone that it is
Yeah.
when you become an Oloriebi that you will see that there are no consequences for all these boundaries that you keep putting. Don't do this. In this family, we don't do that. It is just a simple decision, opinion of the oldest person in the house. Fin.
Yes. Well, that's very true, Barrister. Like we mentioned last week as well, some of these laws and some of these things that people say and people make it mandatory, especially in families. You know, when we were talking about family causes and all of that, you say, "Oh, that's how it is done in our family," or some certain traditions that a Igbo lady is not, an Ada is not supposed to marry someone from
Oh,
another
yeah.
tribe, that yeah, you know, we mentioned last week that it is just someone's opinion, or so maybe somebody faced a consequence for doing that, and you just make it a general law for everybody to follow. So sometimes it doesn't mean that the elderly people in your family, they also know what they are doing. I mean, just like Barisa just said, wisdom doesn't always come with age. Sometimes it doesn't mean they are not wise, but sometimes we don't know everything. We really don't know everything. So there is need for us to always double check all of these things before we do them and make them our lifestyle. So the worship of elders is actually a very very serious issue when a very serious issue when it comes to abuse in our society. When I've heard a lot of times when they would say don't don't let people know what I have done in this family. What about the victim? You're only concerned about the person who has done the evil so that your family name will not be out. But what about the girl that was raped? What about the boy that was molested? It's not something, this is something we should put an end to as soon as we can. If you have any questions for Barrister Kayode Olumide or Moshebi this evening, this is Safe Space. You're listening right now to Safe Space on Women Radio 91.7. And we've been having a conversation on the worship of elders and most importantly, how they aid abuse in our society. If you have questions for Barrister this evening, you want to share your 2 cents, you have an experience you want to share with us, you have questions you would like to ask, you have a story that you would like to tell, you can do all to call our number. The number is 07000 917 917 07000 917 917. You can also call 09155 917 917 09155 917 917 to give share your thoughts with us this evening, your 2 cents, your questions. If you have any questions by chance, let's hear from you. Let's hear what you have to say. 07000 917 917. And many times the reason why this perpetrators go scot-free is because the victims. Okay. Good evening. Hello.
Hi.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I can hear you. You're welcome. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Eniola. I'm coming from Ikorodu.
Eniola from Ikorodu. Good evening, Eniola. Hello, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead.
Um.
All
Okay,
right. We lost the
maybe we
call
need to
from.
let that go. Okay,
Please welcome
yeah.
callers back. Let us know your thoughts on the conversation this evening and also ask your questions. The number once again is 07000 917 917 07000 917 917. I feel like one of the many reasons why the victims or the perpetrators go scot free many times is because these people, the victims, cannot fight for themselves. So you see that some of them are children, some of them are teenagers. Even if I've heard of cases, Barrister, where the stepdad would rape the child and the woman would say, keep quiet, don't say that. Or what do you want him to chase us out of his house? Do you want him to stop giving us food? You know, they expose their children to certain conditions like this because of things like food. And I really wonder. Hello, good evening. All right, so lost that call again. And I really wonder, is food more important? I understand that it can be hard sometimes, the economy and everything, it can be really difficult sometimes, but believing your child, believing the abuser over your child, sometimes it really baffles me. And I really wonder why we do that as parents. Your sole responsibility as a parent, one of your responsibilities is to protect your children. And it's not just physical protection, emotional protection, psychological protection. All of these things are important when it comes to raising children, right? So I'm always very curious and surprised as to how people believe the perpetrator over the victim. A girl is telling you, this uncle did this to me, this uncle touched my skirt today, or that uncle gave me something today. And you keep quiet as a parent. You don't say anything. You don't even do anything about it. You just move on. And Barisa, I think you mentioned some times ago, or I heard it somewhere, that many children who are abused happens majorly because of the absence of a father or the absence of a present father. How true is that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The funny thing about it is a worldwide research discovery
Mm. Yes.
that the presence of a father in the life of especially the girl child reduces the risk of her being sexually abused as a minor.
Mm.
In pedophiles always watch out for girls whose fathers are present. First
Mm.
of all, it is noticed in the confidence of the children. Have you
Yes.
seen a girl who will tell you, if I call my daddy for you, the way
Mm-hmm.
they is different. The confidence they exude is different.
Is yes. Mm-hmm.
Whenever, whenever they are faced with danger, they are daddy's child, they tell their father everything. They believe you cannot beat their father. They believe that. So they easily report, daddy, uncle touched me. They are very, the presence of a father is really important in the lives of both male and female children. It reduces the risk of child labor, it reduces the risk of child sexual abuse.
Mm. Mm. That's very true. That's really serious. My heart goes to everyone who have lost their dads in one way or the other. But most importantly, for those who you are a dad, you're a father, you have children, please be responsible for them. Beyond some for some fathers, they're even present, they are alive, they are in the house, but they don't really
But
care about
they
these
are not,
things. They
they
just
are not
work,
there.
go to work, come back, provide. Your job is not just
You
to
know, there's
provide
a
food,
difference
clothing,
being,
and shelter.
you know, there's a difference in being physically present and emotionally and psychologically
Yes,
present. You can have somebody at home
present.
all day who
Yes.
doesn't have the time, locks himself up, is online, in one meeting, is on the, or after that, church, go back, you know. But you have a father who sits down with the children,
Mm.
plays games, talks to the children,
So,
is involved. What did you do in school today?
mm,
They go on strolls, they go on walks together, they go out
mm,
together at times. It is totally different.
mm. It is.
Thing.
It is. It is well. That's the conversation this evening on Safe Space. We're talking about how the people we call our Olori Bees, the worship of elders in our families influences abuse sometimes in our society. We'll still love to hear from you. We'll love to hear your 2 cents. We'll love to hear what you have to say. What's your thoughts on the conversation this evening? And what's your questions? Do you have questions that you like to ask Barrister? Do you want to share some things with us? Do you have a story? Do you have a question you like to ask? Something bothering your mind about this conversation this evening, and you want to know how to go about it or how to navigate the situation, you can still do all to call us on 07000 917 917 07000 917 917 to ask your questions and share your thoughts with us this evening. Marisa, just like I was saying before, many reasons, one of the reasons why the victims sometimes are helpless. There's nobody to help, and the elderly people in the family are supporting the pedophile is because they don't know how to get help, or they don't have a place to get help. If when your family members are not even helping, you're a child, you're a teenager, there's nobody you want to talk to that would literally go to help you. So are there places, organizations, or places people can, young children, teenagers can go to if they're facing abuse of this kind and their families are not even listening to them? Are there places they can go to seek help in Nigeria?
We have been doing that for some years now, where uh, neglect of children is actually child abuse. It is a crime
Yes.
where
Mm-hmm.
you are not there for the children. The children, you see, nature abhors a vacuum. If the father is
Yes.
not there, another person will step in as father. It will be an area boy, it could be somebody down your street that your children will be talking to more than you yourselves, right? Where a lot of times teachers will call me and say, please, barrister, We don't know how to tell these parents that their daughter
Yeah.
or son has been sexually abused.
Hmm.
Well, I would say, how do you mean? They say, well, the child is begging that please don't tell my dad or my mom because they're always shouting, they're always, where did you go? What did you do? Who is it? You know, it's a totally different, uh, it's a totally different, I think that there may be some organizations, but they are not, usually it's the state or organizations like ours that we help when it comes to crisis.
Mm.
Uh, but I don't know. For the state, a crime has got to be committed first. Maybe a place where a child has been sexually molested. That means somebody touched you or rubbed on your breast or touched
Mm.
your privates. Then you can run to that. I think there should be a place for counseling in the Ministry of Women Affairs. I'm not sure,
Mhm.
but it is not like you can just walk in, you know, and
Mm.
say you want to see the director or you want to see. So that is a very good observation, and I think we need trained people, people that know what they are doing,
Mm.
to be in these places. That will not start talking of tradition or religion
Yeah.
or aha, we'll be talking about life.
Mm. I mean, because at the end of the day, the life of the victim is very, very important. Abuse doesn't just affect them physically, it doesn't just affect them now, it affects their lives. You know, they keep remembering that situation. It only takes the grace of God sometimes to bring them out of that situation. All right. The number to call to still give Barrister your to ask your questions this evening, to share your thoughts and your contribution on the matter is 07000 917 917 07000 917 917. You can also call 09155 917 917. Marisa, you mentioned earlier that the way we pick our Olorebis or the head of the families in our cultures and our systems, our traditions, is by who is the eldest, who is the oldest person, and sometimes whatever the person says is the final in some families. Now, in a family where the head of the family has given the final say, and it's going to look like rebellion if you kick against the orders of this head of the family. How do we stand our ground, or how do we navigate telling the Olorebi to his face without being
Very, very simple. When it comes to matters that affect you directly or affect your marriage, your family directly, it is your job. You are the head of your own immediate family. As a man, as a woman, you are also the 2IC, the second in command in your own home. So everything you do must be in the best interest of your immediate family and not the best interest of your extended family.
Yes.
If anything happens to you, is it your extended family that will not go to their houses and come and stay or pay your children's school fees or rush you to the hospital? No, it is the first point, which is your immediate family.
Mm.
So I cannot perceive a wrong. I cannot perceive that this decision would affect me more and then follow suit to my own detriment in a decision that will affect me and my children. If I followed extended family, I wouldn't have married the woman that I married today.
Yes.
But I am the only one that is still married in my family.
Hmm.
Do you understand what I'm saying? I chose, and I know what I chose. They say, no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a prince. The princes can marry from that. I stood my ground. I didn't even invite any of them. I got married, and
No,
today,
not everybody do that.
The problem with people is, you see, I say when you remove tradition and religion from your brain, when you remove the lens of tradition and religion
Yeah.
from your eyes, you will see clearly. You will see clearly. You will be able to make important and intelligent, wise decisions when you remove religion and tradition away from your lenses. You will see clearly. But when you begin to try to twist and plot just to align with it, no, it is not in your best interest. It is in the best interest of people who are not responsible for you.
Hmm.
Osinachi, while she was alive, had separated from her husband 1 year, 3 months. It was when those religious people came, who were people she respected in her church, and started that what God has joined
Yes.
together, let not man put asunder. Eventually, she went back, and today she's dead, leaving 4 children. Who would take 4 children? You know that those 4 children will be separated. The one will be here, one will be. If she was alive, at least she would have kept all her children together. Now she's
Hmm.
dead. Where are those people that told her what God has joined together, let no man put asunder? They're in their homes with their own children and family. But you,
With their
you
own-
that listen to them, you are no more.
Hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Titi
Yes.
Arowolo,
Yes.
the staff of Skybank in those days, who was stabbed 76 times by her husband.
Hmm.
What is amazing is that she had left the marriage. In fact, she had left several times, but this time she left permanently. And then it was her husband's birthday, and people started saying, will you not go and see him? Tabanja Kinshebi Itikaku. And
Hmm.
he's still your husband, as a Christian, and the husband was a redeemed pastor,
Hmm.
youth pastor. So she got up and took her daughter and was going out when her father, because she had moved back to her father's house, her father said, "Where are
Yes.
you going?" And she said, today is so and so's birthday. I just want to go. And he said, "You can go." The father took her daughter and said, "This is my granddaughter. You can go if you want, but don't take my granddaughter anywhere," because they all knew the violence with which this man operated. So
Hmm.
she went alone. That day on his birthday, another argument started. He locked her inside and stabbed her 76 times. She died on the
How
spot.
can someone be so?
The neighbors that heard, knew that something was happening. Suddenly they didn't hear her voice again. He opened the door, covered in blood, and was running, trying to jump the fence. That was how neighbors held him down. They entered the flat. He
Hmm.
stabbed her 76 times from her head to her toes, her eyes, her
Jesus.
cheeks, her neck, her face. He stabbed every organ, her breast, her ribs, her stomach, her private part, her thighs. He stabbed. Do you know what 76 times is? Now, check this out. Who were the people that told her to go and visit?
Hmm.
She had
They've
left,
all moved.
but these, these leaders, these religious and traditional, these people that talk as if they know. The Bible tells you, flee from all appearances of evil. Abi, he was
Yes.
violent, you ran. Some people came and said, it's his birthday. It is the birthday of your abuser. Go and
Hmm.
celebrate. What are you celebrating? It's
There's
like a
nothing to
lion and a lamb. And they are telling the lamb that today is the birthday of the lion. Won't you go and greet him?
Hmm.
They are telling a sheep, a goat, my lion birthday today. You know, go greet the lion.
Hmm.
Because the lion will eat the goat. Today she's no
Hmm.
more. Why? Because go back, just go and greet him. Why? Because they wanted to mend it. We've had so many tragic reports decisions from religion and tradition, especially in areas of relationships and marriages. It is well.
A lot is really happening in our societies. This is just a call to every single person again. If you are in an abusive marriage or in any relationship that is abusive, it's best you leave the place for your own good, for your children, for your safety. Leave for good. Thank you so much for joining us this evening on Safe Space on your Women Radio 91.7. Barrister, would you like to give your numbers to those who might want to call you after the show? Barrister, are you there?
Yes. Sorry,
Okay.
I lost you for a second.
Okay, so I said, would you like to give your number to those who might like to call you later?
Oh, absolutely. You can reach me by call or via WhatsApp on 0909 3214 942. 0909 3214 942. One more time, 0909 3214 942. You can also follow me on Facebook, Olumide Omoshebi, or Barrister Olumide on Facebook. You will have a lot of my reels, my discussions are reeled there. Thank you very much. Until next week, Abby. See you again next week, Thursday.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much for joining us this evening on Safe Space. We hope you are able to learn one or two things from the conversation. Don't forget to join us next week, Thursday, by 6 p.m. to 7 on Women Radio 91.7. My name is Finfo.